Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Pregame Network podcast. This is episode 58, the only gaming news show not afraid to offend anybody. So, I
That's a
think
good
that's
way
going
to
to be
put
the
it.
new intro going forward. I like that one.
Now that you've had a couple rants yourself, you're ready to just go all in on that. Just like
Enough. I've had enough. I'm done. No, no more filters.
no more
Um,
filters, no more bullshit. Fine by
no
me.
more bullshit. Yep, I know. I know. Uh, all right, so kind of a lighter week for me. I mean, I have some stuff and things to talk about, but it's
Sure.
definitely on the lighter side.
Okay.
We will start, as always, discussing what we've been playing, and then go into what we think is newsworthy for our respective realms of gaming.
Very good then.
So, would you like to start this week, or would you like
Yeah,
me
I'll,
to
I'll,
start?
I'll lead it out just because I don't have too much to say.
Mhm.
Overall, as far as what I've been playing, I mean, there's been a lot of finals. I
Yes.
don't know why, but like, I mean, aside from the fact that it's a fun game, but like, I don't typically get sick of it when we play it, even for extended periods of time. I don't know if it's just because we finally have like people to play with, like we'll go to play it and then like Harrison or Luke or both will be available and it's just like a fun team game and it's just fun to
Yeah.
play. Um, and I've been enjoying that. I still haven't really gone outside my comfort zone as far as as
Hey,
far
me
as what
too.
I've been
Love
using.
of fucking God. Anthony only uses the pump action grenade launcher and
It's so
nothing else.
good though. If it
And
did
no,
more
good thing with
structural
it.
damage, listen to this. I appreciate that. If it did more structural damage, it would be the perfect weapon. Like I wouldn't need to
I
put it down ever. I'm willing to
I
try new
don't disagree with
things,
you.
but I
But
just,
there's if it actually did environmental destruction from a primary with unlimited ammo, that would be a balanced fucking disaster. Like it just
yeah,
would not be good.
it would be the best thing ever. But I have been I have dicked around in training mode a little bit just to see what else we have, and I might try throwing knives on a light build next, because
Okay.
I like the way those feel. But just been it's been good times all around, and so
Actually,
that's
well, before you move on to
yeah.
another game, I do want to say something about the finals.
Go ahead.
Um, I have been getting a lot of uh, a lot of Team Fortress 2 vibes from the finals lately. Obviously, it's not like a one-to-one rip-off of the game, but there's a lot of similarities involved. And since
Mhm.
we've been playing it more, uh, it's really been more apparent to me. Like, yeah, you have the light, medium, and heavy classes. And in Team Fortress 2, like I guess it was like one of the original hero shooters. Uh,
I
that
think
everyone.
I always crawl up your ass about this one where I go like it's actually class based. It's before hero shooters were a thing.
Right, yeah, shut the fuck up, please. But anyway, so I've been getting more and more Team Fortress 2 vibes from it, and then last night after we were done playing, we played the finals for like what 3 or 4 hours straight. Like it was a long play session.
We I forget exactly how it broke down, but I think we played like a total of 4.5, maybe 5 hours across two
Yeah,
sessions. So
yeah, it's we put some good time into it.
yeah.
But we finished up, and I exited out of the game, and I was on my Steam library page,
Mhm.
and for whatever reason, the cover art for this season of the finals is almost identical to the cover art for Team Fortress 2. I don't know if you can look it up like right now, but it's like it's weird. Um, and I don't know if they did that on purpose or if that's just a happy accident, but it's like it's very, very, very similar. Like
I kind of see
clearly,
what you're talking about, like the type of weapons and which characters holding what and standing in order. I get what you're saying.
yeah, like
Um,
it's the synchronicity here is a little
yeah.
uncanny.
I'll be honest. So that comparison you're making, I kind of agree with it as just from my enjoyment of it, but I don't know if I like obviously like it's like you said it's not one to one, there are plenty of differences, but I do kind of see where you're coming from. I feel like if they did just verbatim or just like completely copied like the mode, the like what you would play on like a 2 fort with the points and then capturing intel or something like that, I could see it getting there, but
Well,
enjoyment
to be fair,
wise, yeah.
we've never played the cash out mode.
That's true,
That's
but
like
that's
it's
like
not it's not that similar, but it's a competitive style game mode that
mhm.
does kind of harken back to the more I wouldn't consider Team Fortress 2 like super casual because just the way that the game is made, it's kind of meant to be competitive if you're playing from the
Yeah.
vanilla standpoint. So
The way I'll compare it with Team Fortress, just as a side, is like the same way like we're sitting around playing Power Shift and like nothing but Power Shift because like that's the most fun mode. Most people would only play like 2 Fort
yeah,
in Team Fortress because that was the like easiest to get into laid back mode. Like I did, I've tried the different modes in Team Fortress, like but like those are definitely more competitive because there's multiple points to capture, and it wasn't until much later that they got their own like payload pushing mode.
I was right about to say that. I am shocked that the finals doesn't have some sort of a payload type
Yeah.
mode. Like it's
I,
prime for that.
I guess it would be maybe they're afraid of too much overlap with Power Shift. Plus, Power Shift is it's supposed to be like the secondary mode. It's just everybody
Yeah.
loves it so fucking much that it's like so who knows.
Yeah, but the finals is a great time. I really enjoy
Yeah.
it. I don't really play it solo that much anymore.
Hmm.
But we play it enough now, and we kind of have Harrison to wrangle in with for our
Yeah.
3 stack often enough that I don't I don't need to play it by myself anymore because
Yeah.
it it's so much better with friends, obviously,
Yeah.
and when you
Just
get to coordinate with the team, it's a
it's
different animal.
yeah, it's perfectly fine to just have that game that's just like fun to play on a weekend when you have the team. Isn't that so novel? I feel like we haven't had that in a while.
Yeah,
Just sit down with
what
a team.
fucking shocking. Anyway,
Yeah.
continue. Whatever
Yeah,
else you.
so moving on from that, I have my gotcha games. I played Girls Frontline, I played Genshin Impact, just enough to get some stuff done in them. I recently replayed 90% through. By the time we talk next, it'll be done. I replayed Rise, Son of Rome.
Really, that game was great. It
Yeah,
probably still holds up.
yeah. Oh, it's phenomenal. Like it's actually funny because we're doing it for the channel. So I was playing through it with Luke, and then Harrison
I would,
showed up at a certain point.
I'll fucking
What?
play that with you. That's on Game Pass, right?
Well, no, but I'm saying no. What I'm saying is like just a playthrough, not like the multiplayer, like a playthrough of the
Although the
game.
multiplayer was a lot of fun too.
Yeah,
That
I
game
got
got
so
robbed of so
minimal.
many accolades.
I was getting it. So basically, my take on it is we've talked about it briefly before, and I definitely want to do a video on it at some point. Where my takeaway on it is that it is a really underrated gem. Like if it ever got that sequel, which is never coming, it probably would have been. And you need to let me explain what I'm about to say. It would have been Microsoft's answer to God of War, not 1-to-1. Like
Totally
obviously,
do that. I don't think
yeah,
you're off the
yeah.
target at all.
Yeah, but like like people will hear that and they'll think like, oh, you just want like a hack and slash with magic. I'm like, no, because Rise had this very unique take on a lot of things, and it was just a very fun action game. It's not too mythical. There's a little bit of legends going on there, but the story's pretty grounded, all things considered. You have almost like quaint takes on a lot of these myths and legends. It's not like it's not 1-to-1 a God of War where you're climbing on beasts and slaying things, and it doesn't need to be, but it had like a very grounded mythical story. The action was like just about breaking into an 8, and a sequel would have taken it to a 10 just because of how it's got like it's a little bit mashy, but it's like you got to build up executions, you got to build up focus. It had a very noticeable hard cap as to what you can do in it, and I think that hurt it a lot. But it's a very fun game, a decent story, and it looks phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
this was the game from Crytek. Everybody, they were like kings of graphics up until that point. Like I would say that. I would say that Rise is probably the last time they really wowed, because obviously afterwards they did they go under, or were they just put in a position where they had to restructure and now they only do like mobile supporting crap or something like that? I can't remember.
Crytek kind of shifted to as far as I understand it, they make the CryEngine and they support the CryEngine, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think they were in like after Rise, not directly because of Rise. Like it sold not the best, but it enough where they considered sequel for a long time. And the only reason a sequel didn't happen was because of conflicts with who would own the IP, Crytek or Microsoft, and plans fell through. But I think the what I was getting at is just I think they went through some kind of financial restructuring, and now they basically don't do anything. But Rise, it looks so fucking good. Like they could not have asked for a better killer. Like, we are going to show off what this new hardware could do when the Xbox One was new, because it holds up today. It looks better than a lot of AAA games today,
Yeah.
because not only it's a great third party engine from craftsmen who really knew what they were doing with visuals at the time. It has none of that modern day bullshit. I don't just mean like ugly characters. I mean like there's color in the environments. It's it has like each chapter has its own look. Like you have opulent Roman cities. You have the outskirts where like there's barbarian tribes and it's like all bleak and muddy, and like you fight at night and it's like you have the blues of nights and the reds of the fires around with the tribes and everything, and you have a whole gladiator arena thing, and every chapter, like even if it's not like it's not garish in your face like a fucking marathon, but it's like there's color in these otherwise basic environments and structures that if it was made today it would all just be like a blobby mess. So long story short, I'm enjoying my replay of Rise, and it's going through it this second or third time. I forget how many times I've played it. It's just it makes me all the more sad that it never got a sequel.
Yeah, as you were talking about it, I looked it up on. It's not on Game Pass. I am shocked. It is not on Game Pass.
I have it. The only reason I have it is because of Games with Gold. It was on Games with Gold at some point.
Yeah. But it's on sale on Steam for fucking $350 with all the DLC.
That's
like,
not a bad deal.
For PC. I might buy that.
That's a pretty good deal, even if you've already played it. Like I said, like it's a classic kind of PlayStation 2 action game where like the content isn't gonna blow your socks off, especially with the fact that the multiplayer is probably dead at this point. But I feel like I'm forgetting one thing that I played.
Me want to replay this game. But I've actually been looking for like another single player game to play through after I finish Doom, and I think this might be. I mean, for $350, like how could I?
Yeah, you can't go wrong. Definitely
worth
it. Definitely worth it. A fun little game. Oh, the last thing I played was Nitro Express, that game that I was waiting for, and I got it after my birthday had passed. Fun Metal Slug like game. I have nothing really bad to say about it. It is pretty much exactly what it looks like on the tin. Cute girls with guns, explosions, great music. The only problem I would note is that it's not optimized. Like I'm surprised. Like I'm embarrassed almost to say this, but it doesn't really run that great on my computer. And I know my computer's old. I know you want to say something already, but like it's definitely an optimization thing, because I think the engine under the hood is meant for much more basic tasks. I can't remember.
To be fair, I was not going to say anything, but you said it for me, so
okay.
I'm happy either way.
Yes, but other than the small complaints, and also I wish there were more control options, like some kind of like the fuck do they call it? Aim smoothing. I think that would help a lot, because the camera tends to shift a little wildly. But otherwise, it's a very fun game. It needed a bit more polish, in my opinion, and that could just be my computer holding me up. But that is the bulk of what I've played.
All right. Very cool. I'm actually, like I said, I'm really glad that you brought up Rise, because I'm very excited to play that game again now.
It's a good time. It's so weird to talk about, but it's just a good time. That's the end.
Yeah. Yeah, but the multiplayer is probably are the servers even still up? I mean, I know I can't play with you on Steam. I'd have to play it on Xbox, but
I did not.
Anyway,
I didn't check.
Anyway, so as far as I go, we've been playing a lot of the finals lately, especially when it's later at night and nothing to do. It's a good time. So it was always funny to hear Harrison get fucking just unbelievably miffed, like just getting dunked on constantly. Love you, Harrison. Beyond that, it's kind of the staples for me, really. Helldivers too, a little bit. I actually started playing Vampire Survivors just because I've been so into Deep Rock Survivor that I wanted to see just how I enjoyed Vampire Survivors to begin with, so I went back to it. It's fine. I mean, I definitely like Deep Rock Survivor better than Vampire Survivors, but it's a very different. It's in the same genre yet, but it's a very different experience. So I've been playing a little bit of Vampire Survivors, the finals, Helldivers. I have been balls deep into Darktide over the past couple days. The Warhammer Skulls event was going on last week, so Fat Shark has an in-game event going on for Vermintide 2 and for Darktide. So I've just been, I've been going. I'm almost done with it. There's like one more week left to complete the event, and the cool thing is, like, once you hit the final tier, they give you, I think it's the equivalent of $5 of like the premium currency. So that was a nice little reward at the end of the rope there. and I also started playing more Splitgate, and they fixed
Yeah.
they fixed all the network and connection issues that were plaguing the game when they first launched, and
Mhm.
now that it actually runs smoothly and works as it's intended to, it's a ton of fun. It was just as much fun as the closed beta like a year ago, something like that,
Okay.
that I was gushing over back when I played it. I during my PlayStation today, I mean, I was on a fucking rampage during this one match. I ended up wiping an entire team just like in one smooth play, and it was. I wish I recorded it, but you know, oh well. It was like just that dopamine hit from that one play was enough to keep me going.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the extent of what I've been playing.
Okay.
A lot of stuff is around the corner for me. Like Space Marine 2 Siege mode is coming out later this month or early
Oh,
July. That's going to be like a big
we're
one
definitely gonna play
for
that.
you and I. Yeah.
Yeah.
Darktide is getting its new class at the end of this month, so I'm very, very excited for that.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's
First
a,
new
there's
class
a,
game launched.
yeah. There's a lot of stuff around the corner for me too. Recently, Metaphor Refantasio, that JRPG I missed from last year because of all the shit going on with it, is on Game Pass.
Oh, okay.
Just out of the blue. So there's that. Stellar Blade's coming into the PC soon. There's a demo out I intend to play. So there's a lot of stuff coming. On top of, I had a few things I had lined up to play
The
myself.
expansion next month. I know you
What?
care about that so much. And the new Destiny expansion next month.
Why you gotta bring me down like that? Come on, man. I don't need to hear that. I'm thinking about fun
Look,
things to
look,
play.
look. Okay, it is fun. Just stop being an asshole. Uh, I have already like reserved myself to the fact that I'm probably gonna go down with that ship. Like I'll be
The
playing
ship
it on
is
and off.
underwater, my guy.
The game is still alive, Anthony. I'll be playing it until on and off. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be as into it as I was the past couple of years.
Hmm.
Um, like something huge was gonna have to change. Oh, that's what I wanted to. You know what? Hold on, I'll save it for the first news
Okay.
segment that we do. But
Yeah.
yeah, so the Warhammer stuff and Destiny stuff is
You know, now that
coming.
you mention it, I did bump into Destiny earlier in the week. Yeah,
Okay.
I was working, I was doing stuff on Luke's computer. I was setting him up with stuff to play for the channel and just cleaning up his computer, getting files off of it. And I saw Destiny on his computer, and I had half of mine to uninstall it for him just to ease the burden.
God.
But I did, but I didn't.
Why? I don't understand. Like Bungie aside, like all the drama and bullshit and politics surrounding Bungie as a studio, like why do you hate the game so much?
I just think it's all that fun.
Okay, well, stop raining on the rest of our parades.
I'm not doing that. Bungie's doing that.
All right. Anyway,
Moving
you
on.
got something small to talk about first, you fuckhead?
Well, yeah. So considering I've gotten you all hot and bothered, let's talk about something that pissed me off. Um, so my favorite guy on the internet, as you know, Adi Shankar, my favorite guy on the internet. You remember him?
Not really.
What?
Not really. No. Who is this guy?
He's the guy that does all the shitty Netflix shows. He did the Devil May Cry, did Castlevania. He's that guy.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Continue.
Okay. He was recently interviewed on a podcast where the guy was talking to him about his work on the Devil May Cry show, and he basically said something. He's like, oh, I was working on it. I was so excited to get the license, and then they right deep into production, they're just like, oh, there's a new game. And he basically expressed that he was unhappy with the fact that there was a new game in the middle of the production of his TV show because he wanted to be seen as the savior of the brand, so to speak. So
All right, well,
the
that's
fact
just
that
narcissist.
yeah, I mean, we already knew that's what he was. But I just find like he said it blatantly, he said it openly. Just the kind of how if people ask you a question and ask you for an immediate answer, you're more likely to give like an honest knee-jerk response.
Yep.
That was that he was unhappy with the fact that he could no longer be the savior of this brand. And so a lot of people started clowning on him and saying like, wow, we already knew this, but man, are you a special kind of asshole for just saying it like that? And he's just like, he started calling out like a bunch of people was like, "Oh, it's real journalism to quote to say exactly what I said," and then people just kept posting the video of him saying it verbatim, and then some people are just like, "Oh well, we're willing to hear you out and hear your side of the story." And as he was in communication to get like a secondary interview or to get a comment out, he just drops like paragraph after paragraph on Twitter, and this guy's an asshole. Is basically what I'm getting at. Is like he basically said the quiet part out loud. The way he feels about all of these IPs is that he basically just wants a dead or near dead IP, and he wants his show to come in and revitalize it so he can look like a savior, you know. And yeah,
they gotta fire his ass.
He knows somebody with money, I'm pretty sure, so it's gonna take a while for him to tank. So we'll see what happens.
God, yeah, that pisses me off too, as a gamer.
Yeah, just imagine if he gets on his hands on something you like. He's already been through two of my favorite franchises. Who knows what he'll get from you?
All right, what else? What do we got here? You ever hear of the game Mind's Eye?
Yes, I think we've talked about it. I think once. It's like an ex GTA dev is working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, nothing like crazy. Just his studio put out like a gameplay overview trailer, and it did not look great. It just looked like it was lacking a lot of polish. But he is coming out and saying all the right things, like, I want to charge $60 for my game. The game should be about fun and not monetization and like predatory practices, which is great. You know, it's all good, but the game itself just didn't look like it was gonna be breaking any new ground. So
that's surprising to me, because while I wouldn't say it blew me away on its first showing, it looked interesting the first time it was announced. So that's a little disappointing to hear that the next couple showings weren't all that great.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the consensus, and I just think it needs more polish. Honestly, it just looks very rough around the edges. That's one small thing that I had. Let's see what else we got. This Battlefield stuff, I'm gonna wait a little bit for that. So people think they found an Arc Raiders release date hidden in the files. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of development stuff tends to get left in the files, beta, alpha, demo, no matter what. It's not always indicative, just because you're basically looking at somebody's messy desk trying to piece things together. You know, it's not always indicative of
but
a
it seems
guarantee.
Like there's going to be a potential announcement coming on June 6th for the Summer Games Fest. So, I mean, if there was any place for a game like Arc Raiders to show off a new gameplay trailer or announce a release date, it's probably that.
Yeah.
It's not like a giant game or anything, but it's been universally praised since the closed technical test wrapped up like a month or two ago. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I am interested to try it just because it seems to be wanting to channel the same energy that DMZ had back when DMZ was actually popular.
Yeah,
and working.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed DMZ. That's just a shame.
That's typically how the conversation about Arc Raiders tends to go. It goes, very interesting to try it. Man, I miss DMZ.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I mean, that's something else that came across my desk. Let's see what else we got. Major Halo announcement reportedly set for October, to which you replied that you heard a Halo book came out that wrapped up or continued the story of Infinite.
Yes.
To which I replied, just in time for absolutely no one to notice or care.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of outcry about that. What I will say is that I mean, I don't inherently have a problem with expanded universes going on in books and comics and movies and, you know, smaller TV shows. You know, I've mentioned on this podcast there's quite a few spin-offs or adaptations that I'm actually quite fond of. And obviously, you know, I haven't read all of the Halo books. Have you? I can't remember.
Fall of Reach, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the thing that many people are taking an issue with is that Halo is seemingly building up this and somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but uh Halo has been doing this for a while where they like there's a lot of important story tidbits kind of just getting shoved off into books and franchise and other franchises that aren't the core games, and I think I mean, people are pointing this out and I agree, it's very damaging for canon to really be told almost like to the point where like you're either not telling it or you're telling it in books, like I feel like looking back at Halo that we never really even got a proper conclusion to Halo 5, and now we're talking about Halo Infinite not having a proper conclusion either. It's like what are they doing here,
How the fuck did Halo 5 end?
Exactly.
Cortana was going through rampancy, right? And then
Yes.
I don't even remember the last level.
Yeah, I don't either. It could just be it was underwhelming as a whole. I remember we enjoyed our little playthrough for what it was, but
Do you know how long it took us to play through Halo 5 because we insisted on playing through on legendary difficulty?
it took us a while. I think we started it one year and ended it the next.
Yeah.
And that's when we were both
Oh my
working
God.
at Best Buy. So like every now and
Yeah.
then we'd pass by each other and just be like, "So we're beating it tonight."
We're gonna try.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah, but God, I think Halo is done. I think most of the games that we grew up with the exception of, you know what? No, nothing's really coming to me. I thought
Yeah.
there was going to be one thing, but nothing's really coming to me. I think most of the games that if not all of the games that we grew up with, are pretty much in the grave the way that we remember them. The way that, like, the games that we grew up with that were responsible for the creation of the foundation of everything that we know today are gone. They're done. It was a really good time when they were around, but I don't. What I know this. It sounds very pessimistic, I know,
Holy
but
shit, Dan.
I had this epiphany this past week actually, and I wasn't even gonna bring it up. I didn't remember it until you said whatever it is that you said. I think we're over the golden era of fun.
Okay. Well, let me tackle that. There are two different things there. Let me unpack them both. First, Halo. You're probably right that it's fucking dead because like it's been multiple games of like going from okay you can get away with this to oh this isn't so good to what the fuck are you doing, basically. That's what's been going on with Halo. And with this new team and the like everything, obviously it's super early. The first, if we were just to like rattle off a few things right off the bat, you have they're switching to Unreal. They're leaving proprietary engines. That's not a good sign on any front, especially for a flagship series or former flagship series like Halo was, right? That's not a good look overall. The creative director, if you look at all the creative leads, already off the bat you have these insane activist types just positioning themselves to like lead Halo from here on out. Their hiring practices are still loaded with all the corporate bullshit and modern, DEI shit. Halo's screwed. Does that mean that it couldn't recover in some way, shape, or form? No. But they are not. I don't even think they're aiming for that. I think what did I say when they announced that they were moving to Unreal? I said something like, you can't like with this move you can no longer reach like great heights. You can't really get past an 8, and I don't expect them to hit that 8, right? So I agree with you there that Halo is probably just fucked. It's done. Now, as far as for your other incredibly bleak, dour, depressing statement, the
Look,
short
I still
answer-
have my games that I like to play that I really enjoy, but I'm just saying, like all the games that we grew up with that were responsible for basically the landscape of online multiplayer as we know it today, like that's all gone. I think that
you're talking strictly like the multiplayer years, like the 360 years.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. I thought you meant like everything you've ever loved. I was gonna be like,
No. I'm not like depressed. I'm just I'm just saying that
yeah, no, when you narrow your focus like that, I'm inclined to agree with you a bit more, with the exception of Gears. Who knows?
when was the last time we touched Gears? When was the last time anyone even spoke about Gears?
We played a lot of Gears 5 near in its twilight years, I'm just saying something like a Gears isn't nearly as bad a spot as like literally everything fucking else, right?
Yeah,
I guess,
but it's not like what
no,
am I trying to say?
I get what you're saying. It's not an optimistic look for the online gaming landscape. It's not really that great of a look for a lot of the single player stuff, you know.
So
But
this is why
yeah.
Double A is really where it's at, and
Yeah,
indie.
I think a lot of people are going to be learning that pretty soon. That's, you know, especially if, I mean, I'm not going to say like we're going to see a cascade of games like Expedition 33, but I do think we'll probably see a few solid 8s to 8.5s as Double A kind of gets its shit in gear, you know.
Like
But
all the
yeah.
games that I frequent right now the vast majority of them are either indie or double A. Like Splitgate
Mm,
2, I would kind of consider that indie. I don't know if I would put that in the double A category. I would call Helldivers 2 more double A than triple A, even
mm,
though the presentation and the way that the game carries itself it kind of screams triple A.
yeah.
Dark Tide is definitely double A. There's really nothing triple A about it other than the fact that it has the best melee combat system on the market right now, in
Mm,
my opinion. The finals definitely double A, even though it's got triple A presentation and performance. What else do I frequent? Bu- 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 Doom was kind of like a one-off. I'll probably go back to that in a couple months. Destiny, I'm not even gonna even bother. Uh,
mm-hmm.
Space Marine 2, definitely more double A than triple A. Um, that's pretty much all I got right now that like I'm
Yeah.
bouncing back and forth in between.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like the things I forget, it's mainly like we talked about however many episodes. Like, you know, I have my gotcha rotation because like they're the only ones that aren't like constantly kneecapping themselves. And then I have fighting games, which I think is getting close to some kind of nasty bubble bursting, as I'm sure I've mentioned more than a few times. Just because
Yeah.
I'm noticing I'm noticing new trends as we go along, where it's just like everything's kind of on the decline. Like I mentioned tons of shit before, but now I'm noticing like viewership is on the decline. So we'll see where that goes and what the companies do after that. But you know, yeah, it's definitely I've been mainly living in my backlog, if I'm being honest. Backlog and retreading some old games and, you know, whatever I can pirate, you know.
You
Yeah,
can't say that. That's
I
that's
can, I
that's
can say whatever.
illegal.
And I'm sorry. Whatever I can find on the high seas is what and I will if I'm ever forced to say, it's never gonna happen, but if I'm ever forced to say, oh, I would never do that, you can confidently assume I am still, especially these days. But
Uh,
yeah, we'll see. I think
Anywho,
like I mean we talked about at the beginning how we have stuff that's right around the corner that we're looking forward to. We talked about at the beginning of the year how things were getting better, and I think, you know, things are gonna get dour before they get better. But you know, yeah, living in the double A and
yeah,
the backlogs and stuff.
yeah. I mean, I don't. We did not know what we had when we had it, and we were what anywhere from I'm gonna say 10 to 16.
Mm.
I think that age range is fair.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would say when we were 10 was pretty much where like the last golden age started, where the
yeah,
earliest parts you could see that because it was like mid to early PlayStation 2, and that
yeah,
lasted until like another 10 years later. And
yeah.
you know, I
So
think yeah, I think we've
I mean,
talked about potential new golden ages in the future. I think we can get there again. It's just going to be a while.
yeah. It is kind of depressing to think about like what we had looking back on it as an adult. Could completely taking for granted like the caliber of games that we would frequent, and
Yeah.
now we have slop delivered to us on an annual basis, and just oh, thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it could be worse. It could be just like, you know, I mean, and it can potentially reach this point, but it's like it's more frustrating than depressing to me just because of how much of it is just arbitrary corporate and cultural bullshit. Like how much of this would like be like solved, like, would never have been an issue in the first place if it weren't for external factors, you know? But I mean,
the whole
there's only
corporate
so much.
bullshit thing, I don't think it's going away anytime
Well,
soon.
it wanes and waxes. I do think at a certain point, like the cultural stuff, like I think whenever that loses its grip or like starts to recede on the industry, that's the next time we'll see a waning of corporate corporate meddling where it's kind of we kind of lean into it again, and like there will be more good than there is bad, even if there's so like there'll always be like evils and assholes like there are at EA, you know. But
Yeah.
the issues of the now are not a permanent thing that we have to deal with, at least on the scale that it is ruining everything. You know, you'll still have the occasional activist driven, you know, lunatic that still wants to make their, you know, retarded game or whatever, but yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Um, I only have a couple more things to talk about, so I'm gonna run through them real quick, and
Go for
then
it.
you can take the show and discuss what you want to discuss.
Yeah, sure.
So, the Destiny Rising closed alpha, beta, whatever it was going on this past week, and oh man, it's a better Destiny game than Destiny 2 is, if that makes sense. Like, NetEase had the luxury of sitting back for however long that this project was in incubation slash development to really sit there and take a good look at Destiny 2 and the player base and what the current climate of Destiny 2 environment was and what the players wanted and what Bungie was giving them. And they were able to go to their drawing board, set up a foundation, and develop this mobile game that has features that Destiny players have been asking for literally years, and it's making Bungie look even worse than how they already look. Uh, like for example, there's an archetype of weapon in Destiny Rising for sidearms that you could just use akimbo sidearms, right? Like you would think that'd be in Destiny 2 years ago. Nope. Um, there's a game mode called Shifting Gates, I think, and it's
Mm,
essentially what you remember what Gambit is, right?
yes.
Yeah. So for anyone out there listening who doesn't know, Gambit is a PvEVP mode that two teams of four start on their own maps, have to kill enemies, collect motes that the enemies drop, bank them into their banks in the center of their map, and when you bank your motes, you can send over blockers to the enemy team. They're either small, medium, or large. And once every X amount of banks, you can invade the enemy map and and kill the enemy team. And when you kill them, you can deduct motes from them. You can heal their boss if they have their boss up. But this game was all the rage when it first came out, and then Bungie just let it rot like a festering wound for years. And they're still not like it's in the game, sure, but no one has touched it in I don't even know how long. And there's a game mode in Destiny Rising called Shifting Gates, where it's three teams of I want to say six. Like it's like a big mode, and it's very similar, but it's also slightly different. I didn't really get a chance to play all that much, but I did watch a little bit of footage of it, and it looks infinitely more interesting than what Gambit is now. Like all they have to do is take the idea from an IP that's already their own. They don't have to steal anything. Wink, wink. Um, uh, all they have to do is take this idea that's already in their IP and put it into their game, and it could inject so much life into not only into Gambit but into Destiny, like full stop. Not only that, like the way that the UI and the onboarding system is set up is far better than Destiny 2. Um, I think there's player housing. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's player housing, and people have wanted that in Destiny 2 forever.
Mm.
I'm finding out right now. Hold on a second. Uh, Destiny Rising. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, I can't really find the answer that quick, but anywho, um, they have all these features and ideas and content in Destiny Rising that really feels like it belongs in Destiny 2, but it's just not there. And on top of all this, like we got the reveal for the Edge of Fate expansion that's coming in July a few weeks ago, and now Destiny Rising is having their closed beta right now. And there was a comment on YouTube on a video that I was watching, which like it didn't not that it didn't occur to me, but like it didn't really click until I saw the comment. but
Hmm.
everything that the Destiny Rising alpha or slash beta has been showing off to players that could actually get their hands on it looks like it's more than an expansion from like Bungie is giving their really only game right now, and it's just wild. Like we're getting so much stuff with Destiny Rising, and it's like peanuts for the expansion in Destiny 2. Um, and I don't know, man. Like it's not a good look for Bungie because you have all these people that are begging for more content for Destiny 2, and now. Um, uh, Destiny Rising seems to be delivering on that, but it's on
Hmm.
mobile, so that's an instant non-starter for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And another big sentiment that I've been seeing was bring Destiny Rising to PC. Like, please, it just how hard could a port be? Blah blah. I don't think it's gonna happen, but that's what the Destiny community is like clamoring for. It just goes to show how the Destiny player base is just like starving for more content, and for whatever reason, Bungie is not doing it. Um,
Yeah. I mean,
so I guess the point to this whole rant was
yeah.
Destiny Rising is making Destiny 2 look really bad,
Yeah.
and yeah, I don't know. That's
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
really about it.
I talked about this the last time you brought up Destiny Rising, and it's really just there's only so many ways to say it. It's just these sister games, so to speak, for lack of a better term. Typically, they're done by a different developer, and they just kind of take it and run with it within the guidelines. And there's very rarely crossover or like a what's the best way to put it, like a learning there where like the base game is changed. It's very very rare if it ever happens, right? Like Diablo Immortal didn't have an effect on Diablo 4 as far as I know. The Final Fantasy 14 mobile port didn't really have an effect on the core game and has a lot of quality of life that a lot of the players want. Call of Duty Mobile consistently gets players like praise for like some of the events they do and some of the designs they have. None of that carries over to the mainline games. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean, look, maybe eventually we'll get a lot of. I'll get content that has originated in Rising into Destiny 2. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I
Mm-hmm.
think they exist on a parallel trajectory as far as like Destiny 2 will be doing what it's doing in its lane, and Destiny Rising will be doing what it's doing in its lane. It's going to be two completely different things, and I don't think they're going to crisscross or cross over or take features from one game and put them to the other, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm just being pessimistic, but I don't think that NetEase has a history of doing that because they have other properties uh, that have like core games that
Mm-hmm.
they've made a mobile game for that like nothing has ever translated between them. So I don't know. It's kind of shitty, but I guess we'll see how it shakes out, just like everything else. Um, all right, moving on from that because I don't want to dwell on that one anymore. Um,
Your
have you
weekly
seen?
struggle session.
Yeah, for real. Have you seen any of the leaked gameplay footage for Battlefield 6?
No, I have not. Not since the
So
last time we talked about it anyway.
yeah, I watched like a good 20 minutes of it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Like good quality, no really obtrusive watermarks. He really was able to get to see how the game is looking to intending to be played, and just the overall style and feel of it. To me, it looks a lot like Modern Warfare 2019, but with like crazy destruction, like
Ooh,
finals level destruction, which is exactly what we both,
please.
yeah, which is what we both said that it needs to have. Like the
Yes.
the weapons and the animations and the movement, especially the movement, looks very, very, very similar to Modern
Mm.
Warfare 2019. But you have the class system with like all the gadgets and medics and support giving each other ammo and heals. Um, but like you take out a rocket launcher, you could put the fucking you could put a fucking hole into a building, and it looks awesome. It definitely looks like this is the Battlefield game that the community has been waiting for, and all the leaked footage that I've seen looks pretty promising. Like, yeah, you might call it a reskin of Battlefield 4 or a maybe a ripoff of Modern Warfare 1 or 2, like the new era ones. But I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing because the alternative is fucking 2042, and that was hot garbage. So I am eagerly awaiting to see what they are going to announce, because I think they're going to announce something at Summer Games Fest. Nothing was being confirmed, but if I were a betting man, I would say that DICE is going to reveal something at Summer Games Fest, and that's when we're going to get our first proper look at the game. Maybe, and I think there's a rumor going around also that there's supposed to be an open Battlefield Labs session. So that would be cool if they showed up a trailer during the Summer Games Fest and then said, "Hey, go sign up for Battlefield Labs. You can play it right now." That would be
Mhm.
a huge W for DICE, for the community, for everybody. Um, so yeah, Battlefield 6, I'm really trying to keep my expectations in check, but everything that I've seen as far as leaks go looks really, really good. I'm still a little bit nervous as far as what they're going to do with the class system. We talked about that like 2 weeks ago, I think. Uh, but I don't know, from like a core fundamental view of like how the game plays, it looks really good.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm excited to see what they are going to show off next. And
Yeah.
that was pretty
I
much
can't.
it.
I'm almost positive this is the case, but there hasn't been an official gameplay showing since the initial announcement of Battlefield Labs. I think that's what I said 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, they only showed off like a
Okay.
6 second like
Yes.
mashup of clips.
Yes, and everything else has been leaks and people playing the game.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely nobody adhered to that NDA.
Yeah. It's like I said. I'm pretty sure that that's just there to stem the tide a little. Plus NDAs. I mean, there's only like you. There's nothing really like terrible as far as consequences if you violate an NDA. Sometimes you get like a small fine, very rarely, but the rest of it is just like they just don't work with you in the future, and
Well,
however
say
much
what
you
you will
value
about
that.
DICE, but they're no Nintendo.
Yeah, that's very true. Holy shit. Hey.
Uh, Anywho, those were like the big things, the long-winded things that I really wanted to touch on.
Hmm.
I've got two other things. I guess I'll just get them out of the way now.
Okay.
X Divine is shutting down in 2 days,
That's
like
right.
for good.
Yeah.
I am not losing any sleep over that one.
Yeah.
And People Can Fly is getting hit with more layoffs, and they have canceled these two projects that are in like super early development.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, yeah. I mean, just to kind of go from there. I mean, recently the Black Panther game got canceled, right?
Yes.
And
And they shut they closed down the studio.
yeah, they closed down the studio. I mean, nothing was probably lost there. I don't know if that studio made anything else. I think it was put together, and this would have been their first title. I think. If not, they haven't worked on anything. And it's
Yeah,
just
I
like
think you're right.
the first thing I'll say is like I look at that team in that studio. I really just don't care about it, honestly. Like, me, I'm a heartless bastard when it comes to all these layoffs, but it's like the lead developer, I forget what her name is, but like her claim to fame was working on a game you've definitely never heard of before called Validate. You ever hear about
Nope.
that? Basically, I'm not going to bore you with the details. It's a it's a visual novel dating sim that
Jesus.
the whole focus, like, here's the thing. I don't care, like, there's nothing wrong with dating sims, play them if you want. There's nothing wrong with visual novels, play them if you want. I've played more than a few visual novels. It's whatever. But this one in
Hmm.
particular was made specific. It's that same kind of like product that people make just because they can to piss people off. The whole gimmick of the game is you base it like all of your romance options are like ugly, disgusting stereotypes, and like that's the whole name of the game is validate. You're validating them by dating
Oh,
these terrible
Jesus
options. Yes,
Christ.
and that and the I can't remember if she's the lead or if she was just a consultant, but her whole thing, the one that was she was hired, or I forget exactly, but her whole thing was like, oh, when we worked on Validate, we didn't hire any white people because we wanted everyone to feel safe, and they were pushing that same kind of bullshit with Cliffhanger Games, where they're just like, we're primarily a diverse team, we hire very little white people, and I'm just like, I. Am I supposed to shed a tear for these people? Because regardless of what kind of people they're hiring, I know they're not hiring them for merit-based reasons. So it's just like, I had no faith in this to begin with. So it's like, goodbye, 4 years down the drain, I guess, and that's right up there with the fucking with the fucking Wonder Woman game that got shit canned too. Who the fuck superhero games in general? Like, I don't know where the fuck all these games are. Like,
Yeah,
when's the last time we heard from
because
Wolverine or Spider-Man
after
3 or Captain America?
after Suicide Squad fell on its face as hard as it did in public,
Yeah,
I think publishers are really starting to like take a much closer look at what their development studios are working on, because
especially with comic book properties.
yeah, obviously people don't want this live service bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's a whole combination of things. Like nobody wants the live service bullshit. Nobody wants, games made by these bloated DEI focused studios and comic book like the I feel like the bubble hasn't burst, but like it's not anywhere near where it used to be, where people were really interested in comic book properties for a while. I mean that's indicative when you look at the movies, but the whole point is like that boom has kind of come and gone, and now you have all these people holding the bag of games that are in development for 4 to 6 to 8 years. So it's been interesting, but like I said before when we were talking about all these studios, it's like I don't keep laying them off, keep imploding. This industry needs a crash. I saw some people mention that like this is all indicative of us heading towards an era where like venture capital is no longer able to back these companies and their bad decisions anymore, which might lead to some kind of massive another wave of layoffs and closures, which would be nice. Um, yeah, I mean those are AAA altogether. There was another closure recently, Platonic. I mentioned that.
yeah,
You probably have no idea what the fuck they are or what they did, right?
nope.
Yeah. They were ex Rare devs, like
Oh,
Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong. They banded together. When was this? Almost a decade ago. They banded together and they put out a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie called Ukulele, and it
yeah.
was probably it was like a 6.5 7 out of 10 game, right? It wasn't terrible, wasn't offensively bad. And then they used that same property to also make like a Donkey Kong Country spiritual successor, right? And then they did a remaster of Ukulele, and that's pretty much all they did. The rest of it was publishing work. Like they helped publish a bunch of games you would never heard of, like Demon Turf, and there's another one that's escaping my memory. But they basically they're gone too, and I'm just like, I hate to see old talent gone, but I know some of you are very insufferable people now, and it's like, sometimes you lose that charm, and at the same time, it's like, can you really like, what am I gonna say? Like, I can't even say like, oh, they were working on something and now it got canceled. They made 2 games and 1 remaster over the course of a decade. Like, you can't coast for that long. I don't even know how you kept the doors open past 2019. So, that was just a whole smattering of closures from from my ear to the ground anyway.
Yeah.
Mm.
A lot of that going on still.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm for it. Like I would have much preferred, we carefully trim the bloat, but I'm willing to let everybody just get the boot at this point. I'm tired of it. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's just, like you said, the bubble is bursting, but it's bursting slowly.
yeah. I mean, I just as long I'm okay with everything crashing and burning as long as it like gets all these vested interests and this cultural rot just gone. It's like it's tragic in a lot of ways, because it's like not only did a lot of these people, like the good people who were like there's so many cases of like old talent either retiring or being ousted or just never hearing of them again, and
Hmm.
guys you used to like coming back and then they've completely lost their mind and their talent. It's just been a nightmare. It goes to what you said before, where you're just like, oh, that golden age that we were part of with the multiplayer games is gone. There's a lot of it where it's just like, even beyond the multiplayer games, like the people who made a lot of just the games in general are just gone or gone mentally, and who knows, where we go from there.
Yeah, man. Put me in charge of a game studio. I'll make good decisions. Promise.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Um, let's see. I went over my closures. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. It's been kind of a slowish week.
Yeah.
Um, Nothing else really is sticking out to me right now.
Yeah, there was some other shenanigans, but it's kind of it's not. I don't want to say boring because like talking about the industry is like it's not always like the most exciting stuff. But there was some shenanigans with voice actor unions, and just like so it's getting to the point where they've been striking for so long that a lot of the because these voice actors, they mainly do dub work and they're insufferable people too, right? A lot of them are basically like doing one-off interviews with random outlets, and they're saying the quiet part out loud where they're just going, well, it's not really about working conditions so much as we just want them to sign up with the union so they can only hire union actors and actresses. And it's just like just more terrible people that need to be gone from the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe next week there will be more terrible people gone from the industry. Only one way to find out.
Yeah.
Just to do this again next week.
Hell yeah.
Oh God. Well, I mean, like I said, I'm pretty much done unless you got something else. I'm ready to wrap this bitch up.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I mean, if you made it this far, thank you for listening. This is episode 58 of the Pregame Network podcast, the only show not afraid to offend anybody and everybody. We will be back again next week for more terrible
Stuff
gaming
and
hot
things.
takes and fantastic opinions to talk about, and whatever else happens this coming week. So, on that note, thank you for listening, and see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.